Well, I just met Raphael, and this is incredible. I feel I'm so happy because the Lord is using me in ministry again. Raphael just came off of this trail. Skinny little guy. Looks like he was from Puerto Rico. He had a heavy accent. And he was talking about being an adventure racer. I don't know how we got on that subject, but he did marathons, and then he mentioned adventure racing. So I could not believe that he mentioned adventure racing. I'm like, okay, God, here we go, because this is not by accident that I'm here talking to Raphael. So when he said adventure racing, he said, oh yeah, I was down in Florida and we did a lot. Our team did a lot. I wasn't the swimmer, but I could run and paddle. And I said, yeah, me too. That's me too, exactly. And I said, yeah, and the training was insane. And he says, yeah, the discipline. He says, there's a lot of discipline when it comes to, adventure racing. And I said, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, it was amazing that right away there was that connection. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. So I looked at him and I said, because here's the Lord. I said, I did all this adventure racing, but, with me, I said I was very high profile. I said I was in the newspaper. I was on, they did TV interviews with me. I was, I got all these first place. I said I have a national record. And he's like, wow, really? I said, yeah, I was very competitive. I said, but something? I was standing there one day and, I looked kind of up to the sky and I said, Lord, if you're there, and I knew there was a God, but I said, I don't understand the purpose of my life. I have done all this stuff. And I said, I still feel empty. I said, I feel empty. So, I don't know. Something needs to change here. And I said, I went into my room, and that's when I picked up the book, A Purpose-Driven Life. And that book showed me who Jesus was. And he's like, wow. And I said, yeah. But here's the thing. What I realized through my transformation, we are created to worship. We're all God creates us in His image, and that image is for us to worship Him. So when we don't worship Him and know Him, there's always something that's going to take the place, because we're created to worship. So here I was worshiping, idolizing my athletics. And if we don't have God in our life, there's always going to be an idol that we're worshiping, being in our job or ourselves or athletics or money or whatever it is. And he's like, you're right. He says, that's really beautiful. And then he said, have you ever done the Appalachian Trail? Because the Appalachian Trail is here. And I've been on it a little bit. He said, well, I went for, I don't know how long, like a long time. It's like a 60-day Appalachian Trail hike. And he said, I went there to get reconnected spiritually. And then he said, because God is in nature. And I felt if I wanted to reconnect, that's where I would reconnect. And I'm like, you're right. And he said, Jesus went to the mountains. He went to nature to restore himself. And I'm like, oh, you're right. And then all of a sudden I was like, hold on, this is crazy. Because this came into my memory that I had just read something about nature and God and communing with Him. I couldn't believe it. And I had it in my other phone. And there it was on my phone. And this is what I read him. His, which is with the capital H, is talking about Jesus, his hearers, from the artificial to the natural. In the growth and development of nature were revealed the principles of His kingdom. Listen to this. As men should lift up their eyes to the hills of God and behold the wonderful works of his hands, they could learn precious lessons of divine truth. Listen to this, just really pay attention. Christ's teachings would be repeated to them in the things of nature. So it is with all who go into the fields with Christ in their hearts. They feel themselves surrounded with holy influence. The things of nature take up the parables of the Lord. By communion with God in nature, the mind is uplifted and the heart finds rest. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, by communion with God in nature, the mind is uplifted and the heart finds rest. That's why I spend so much time out here. This is my medicine for my soul, for my body, for my joy. It's found in here. And this is, and he said, Raphael said, Jesus went off to the mountains. And I said, yeah, he did that to find his rest with the Father. So as I read that, I looked and it said on here, Desire of Ages, page 291. That's where this paragraph comes from. So I said, hang on. And I went into my car and I had a brand new, beautiful Desire of Ages in my container. And I brought it out and I brought it to him. I said, I want to give you something. I said, this is not by accident that I'm here today. And he looked at it. He said, this is really a beautiful book. Look at the crown of thorns and then the other crown, the King of Kings crown. I said, yeah. I said, this is what I read from and I want you to have it. And he's like, wow, thank you so much. He was really touched. And I said, Raphael, it's not by accident that I'm here. Apparently the Lord wanted you to hear that today. And, and have this book. And he was just, you could tell he was so touched. I was touched. I'm always touched by how the Lord puts these people at the right place at the right time and connects us for his purpose, his will, and his glory. So anyway, I had to share that because that's Jesus mojo. And right while I'm doing what I always do, which is going out and enjoy. Who would think that I'm just going for a walk with Mario, then I'm going to kayak, and then I'm going to mountain bike, and this really is my ministry. This is what the Lord uses, and I'm super blessed. All right, love you guys, and I'm so glad I could share. Hopefully this encouraged you today, especially the reading. Get out in nature and have communion with God.